you're looking to start a business, I think there are very few ideas that can get you off the ground better than starting an agency. Hey, my name's Sammy and I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I created this channel to do a couple of things. One, to help you get in shape, and two, to get your money in shape as well. Now, why should you listen to me? Well, because a few years ago, I had my body in shape, but my money wasn't right. So I started a few different things. I've tried a whole different set of ideas, from e-com to traditional businesses, and then eventually started an agency, a recruitment agency to be exact, which, blew things up for me. So I've got the perspective of having tried different ideas, and I know what works and what doesn't because I've been there. So let me just give you a kind of a brief background of what I've done. So when I started my entrepreneurial journey, I used to sell cameras, and they were high-end used cameras, so Canons and Nikons, that kind of thing, but mostly on the pro side of things. And so I used to, refurbish them and put them up on eBay. So eBay, if you don't know, is, or if you're not in the UK, I think it only operates in the UK or maybe Europe as well. You can go on there and sell anything really, but mostly used stuff. eBay was really big back in the day, and I'm sure they're still doing okay today, but it's not Amazon. Amazon really kind of just completely took market share of that side of things. But I did that for a while, and it was okay. When you're starting out, a lot of times you need to try different things, and in fact, not even a lot of times, I'd say that the vast majority of times you're going to have to try a bunch of different ideas before something even has a chance of taking off. And so I did that. I did a couple of other things. I tried drop shipping, and drop shipping is a very viable thing to do when you're starting out. But the vast majority of you guys who try that are not going to be able to make a sustainable income from that. And I know because I did it. Again, you can make money. In fact, you could be making 10, 20, 30,000 pounds or dollars or whatever it is a month, but the percentage of that which is actual profit is going to be most likely very low, especially with drop shipping. The margins are just too tight. So agencies are fantastic for a few reasons. One of those reasons is very high profit margins. Meaning, for every pound or dollar that you sell, a very high percentage of that is going to be money in your pocket. After all expenses are paid, staff, whatever it is. It's got one of the highest, depending obviously on which type of agency you open, the model, etc. It's going to be a pretty high percentage of your revenue. And that's what you want, because ultimately, you don't want the vanity metrics. You don't want to say, I'm making $1 million a year, but then you're taking home 15,000 of it, in your pocket. And a lot of people are actually doing that. A lot of people are doing that. And you don't want to be one of those people. You want to say, I've made $100,000 in revenue, and I am keeping 75,000 of that, or 75%. That's very, very high. Even if you were to make 50%, that's still very, very, very high. The average profit margin for most businesses is somewhere in the 10 to 20% range. And so to get anywhere near, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70%, you're doing really, really well. And that's what agencies can do for you. That's one, profit margins. Two, and I think this is really underrated, but it teaches you how to deal with your customers, how to treat your clients. That's one of the best lessons that you can learn when you're going into business. even if you do decide at some point later in time to go and open, I don't know, your own clothing brand where you're going to be dealing with potentially thousands and thousands of customers, you still need to be able to know how to deal with them. And that sounds easier than it actually is. There's a level of tact and there's a level of what would I call it? Diplomacy that you need to have when you're dealing with clients. The whole thing about the customer's always right is right. And a lot of times people get that wrong because they believe, you know, I'm making this, I'm making that. That stuff's gonna come to bite you in the ass sooner or later. Because once word gets out there that you are X or you are Y or you're not delivering or whatever it is, once you start getting a bad reputation, then the rest of your business kind of crumbles after that. So it's very important you know how to deal with your customers or your clients, and agencies teach you that very, very quickly. Because most agencies, you have one big client. Your clients, you're going to have fewer or customers. Some people call them customers. Customers are really used in B2C, so business to consumer, and B2B, when it's other businesses, you tend to say client. But for the purposes of this video and other videos, I'll just use them interchangeably. But clients, you're going to have fewer of those who are giving you a lot of money. And so you really need to be on your A game when it comes to dealing with them. And you can't be transactional. That's one thing that having an agency has taught me. You can't be transactional. You have to build real relationships. Real relationships. And that's something that if you don't know how to do, agencies will teach you that, whether you like it or not. And the benefits of that are massive, because if you can build a great relationship with a customer or with a client, then you may have that client for a very, very long time, for a lifetime, potentially, if your business is still around. And then the other fantastic thing about that is, of course, they're going to refer you to other businesses. And if you can get to that, where word of mouth becomes your main mode of marketing, then you're really, really onto a winner, because then your customer acquisition costs become very, very low. And you don't have to constantly go out there and chase new leads and find this client and do all the rest of that, because they're going to be inbound. They're going to be coming to you. And that's very, very possible if you learn how to treat your customers like real human beings and you have those relationships. So that's the second reason that I think you should seriously consider starting an agency. And then third, there are many reasons, but third, one of the biggest ones, I think, is you can have a really powerful business with very, very few people. Yeah, your revenue per team member can be very, very high. So with even a team of just 3, 4, 5 of you, yeah, you could be generating millions. And I literally mean millions. You don't have to have massive factories. You don't have to have massive spend in order to do that. You just need a couple of really solid people by your side who you treat well, and they treat you well, and treat your customers well, and you're good to go, and that return on investment on just a few people is a massive, massive thing, because especially when you're starting out, you don't have, most likely, unless you've got a rich uncle or something, you don't have the capital to go out. Let's say you want to start a restaurant or something. You don't have the capital to go out and put $30,000, $40,000 on premises, on licenses, on inventory, on this, on that. You don't have to do any of that. You have a laptop. You might have to spend a couple of £100, yeah, just as an FYI. You can do it on a shoestring where you're spending nothing, but if you don't want to put a few £100, a few $100 behind the business, then is business even really for you? But a few £100, a few $100, and you're good to go. All you need is an internet connection, some skill, but that skill can be developed as you go. and you're good to go. And the types of agencies you can start are just so numerous. And if you can provide service, a fantastic service, people will keep coming back to you. Yeah. So those are some of the biggest reasons I think you should seriously consider starting an agency. Whether whether you're already in business or whether you're looking to get into business, starting an agency is one of the best things I think you can do. One of the biggest returns for your money that you can get compared to other businesses.